Welcome back to Misdiagnosed. I'm your host, Caitlin Pyle, and it has been a good couple of weeks. I'm making a lot of changes in my life. Still posting on TikTok, just not as often as I was. And I'm probably going to pivot here soon because I've changed the direction of my life. I finally cut loose the guy I was dating. I had met him a little over a year ago. We dated for a couple of months, maybe 3 or 4 months. I broke it off. Then we were apart for 3 or 4 months and got back together, and I broke up with him after 3 or 4 months for the exact same reasons that I broke up with him before. And it was hard. It was hard to do because, he's not a bad guy, right? He's not a criminal. He's not a drug addict, but he was really boring. And there were so many things that I wasn't doing and wasn't allowing myself to do or even think about because I was trying to fit him into my life. And I realized that was a pattern I had. I don't want to do that. I don't want to mold my life around some dude that just wants to sit in an office all day and then play golf on the weekends. It just doesn't sound like fun to me at all. I don't want to be with somebody who can't compliment me. And it doesn't mean that I need a gajillion compliments all day, every day, but when you compliment my cats and you don't compliment me, and I'm not saying you compliment my cats more than you compliment me, I'm saying you compliment the cats and you don't compliment me. That's a problem. And, to his credit, he said, I don't know if I could give you what you want emotionally, if I don't think I can. And it's not about being able to, it's about wanting to. And I take that back. I mean, from what I learned about levels of consciousness and all that, I believe him. I believe that he is not able to give me what I want and need in a relationship because he doesn't have anything to give. Even though he's not broke, right? He's not living on the side of the road in a cardboard box or living out of a car or anything like that. He is impoverished on a spiritual and emotional level, and I could feel that. And even though I could convince myself I was having a good time when I was with him, stepping away from him, or whenever we would go back to our respective homes, since we only saw each other on the weekend, given that we were 2 hours apart, 2.5 hours depending on traffic, I felt exhausted, and it would always take me at least a day or two to recuperate. Yeah, he would tell me that he would always look forward to coming here, and I'm like, yeah, because I make it awesome. Like, his needs came before mine. And I got real honest with myself, and I said, self, if you or your own daughter, and you were watching your daughter live through this and put up with this and hurt because of this, what would you tell her? And my response was, there is more and you deserve more. Don't settle. And I would have been settling. I was settling, and it was killing me. It was slowly killing me, staying with someone that I knew didn't light me up inside. And who I also knew I didn't light up inside, right? If this guy can live his whole life not even being remotely excited about the fact that I'm in his life, then I don't want to be with that man. Like, if I don't light him up inside, he doesn't really want to be with me. And I want more than that. And I look at his life, and having gotten to know a few members of his family, like over Christmas and stuff, and I was like, yeah, no wonder this is the way you show up in a relationship, because everything was just so, I don't want to say average, but average. There was nobody going the extra mile. And given that his dad abandoned their family when he was probably 2 years old, he never really had a good example of how a healthy relationship was supposed to go. He had told me a few times, I think you think I'm deeper than I really am. And the truth is, he is. But there was this, I guess, a sleep quality to him. And that's the only way I can know to say it, because I remember what that was like. Like, he would get really upset when I would want to talk about conspiracy theories. And he never listened to my podcast, never watched my TikTok videos, would get mad if I sent him a TikTok video because he, quote, hates TikTok. A very black and white way of seeing things, and not self-aware, although the people who think they're the most self-aware are the least self-aware. And I think he was one of those people, not really getting how he came off to people, and or getting it and just not caring and thinking, oh, that's just the way I am, not realizing what patterns he was following, what subconscious habits he had. I think he truly believed he was in total control of his life. I just got tired of anytime I expressed my feelings to him and how I was feeling and what I needed. He would dissect things line by line and tell me how wrong I was about all of it. And I'm done. I'm done. I honestly know that I would have always felt like I gave more than he did, and that's because I did. He told me that one of the things that was his favorite things about me was how giving I was. I'm a giver, and he was not a giver, and so it was always a give and take, but never a give and take. It was draining. So yeah, I'm really happy to be out of that relationship. It feels different breaking up with him this time than it did last time. A lot less pain. It felt easy, and I asked the universe to make it easy. And then the last phone call we had after we hadn't seen each other for probably 10 days, it was just the things he was saying and how he was saying it and how unempathetic and uncaring he was. It was like, oh man, when somebody shows you who they are, you have to believe them. I finally believe it. I finally stopped telling myself that he was better than I was seeing, and making excuses is what it came down to. That's what I was doing. I was making excuses for his poor behavior. And again, he's not a bad guy, but he is not who I want to be with. And it feels good to admit that to myself. Yeah. And I've been busy. Because shortly after I broke up with him, I realized that staying in this house, which if you don't know, I live in this gigantic ass house. I really don't think it qualifies as a mansion, right? But it's been called that before because of the way it looks. It's a little under 4,000 square feet, but massive outdoor space as well that all needs taking care of. And I have an almost full-time assistant that I pay something like $2,200 a month. I say almost full time, but she's like 24 hours a week, so part-time assistant. But she's here 4 days a week, and there's still stuff that doesn't get done between the two of us, So I realized that I had been working so hard to create so much content and new ebooks and possibly create new online courses, and I saw myself being glued to my computer for the next 3 or 4 years again, which is what I just did with Proofread Anywhere. And while that turned out great, I have paid for it dearly with not money, but my own personal health. I went downhill fast in terms of mental health and physical health, and it's all connected, right? Anybody who tells me that mental health and physical health are separate is an idiot, and I mean that in the most loving way possible. You just don't get it if you think that they're separate, because they're not. If your brain is not functioning properly, if you're not giving yourself what it needs, what your brain needs, if you are drinking caffeine constantly, if you're not sleeping well, if you're stressed, if you're not exercising, all that's going to affect your mental health. And that's one reason why I'm doing this podcast, is to tell people that it's all connected and that there's reasons, biological reasons behind the symptoms that we experience that are all connected to the spiritual side of things too. We don't take care of ourselves, of course we're not going to feel good about ourselves. We're not going to have the confidence that we are able to have when we're doing the best we can for ourselves, recognizing that we're the most important person in our lives, and that the person that needs to show up for us is not a boyfriend, not a girlfriend, not a mother, not a father, not a sister, not a brother, but ourselves. We need to show up for ourselves and pour the energy that we've maybe been trying to pour into a partner, into ourselves, and do it experimentally. That's kind of the phase of my life that I'm in right now. Is I am not looking for a partner. I am being my best partner. I am showing up for myself. I've switched my workouts from, not that I was doing anything super strenuous, but it certainly was putting stress on my body in a way that I did not look forward to. And so I've switched my workouts from the Bar 3 signature and strength training and cardio workouts that are more intense, like interval training type workouts, even some HIIT in there that I would feel sore from for days and days because that takes energy away from my body. I've switched to very gentle, very light yoga. And it's not all gentle. I am warm and in some cases a little bit sweaty by the end, but in a good way. Like I'm able to breathe through the whole thing and just stretch myself out and feel really good and not exhausted, because my adrenal system is still recovering. Like I was in major burnout for a while, and it's going to take some time to fully recover and strenuous exercise is catabolic. It's taking energy away from my body that I do not have yet, right? I need to give my body a fair chance to recuperate without all of the stress. So having an assistant has been helping with that. I have been walking. I also jump after my yoga. I do 30 minutes of yoga in the mornings, and then right after that I do 20 minutes of jogging just lightly on the trampoline. It feels so good. It's amazing for your lymphatic system. And then I've been doing walking. Like this morning I walked all the way around the lake for a little over 3 miles. Got a lot of activity in today, and that felt really good. I juiced when I got home. I've been doing smoothies and juice every day, really getting serious about cutting out gluten and dairy, and I'm not eating meat anymore. That's something I started doing when I was dating this guy. He was big into grilling meat, and so I would eat steak sometimes, and I eat some chicken sometimes, but I just don't feel as good in my body when I eat those things, and so at least for the time being, I'm back to eating mostly vegan. Actually 100% vegan. Minus honey, so I guess not 100% vegan, 99.9% vegan, whatever that honey represents, because the raw, unfiltered honey has so many good things in it. I learned that from Anthony William, the medical medium. Yeah, and taking all my tinctures, like right now I'm taking probably 20 different high-potency plant tinctures to really make sure that that virus is under wraps and that my body has everything it needs to rebuild itself, replenish itself. Staying hydrated has been big, eating lots of fruit. I've put on some weight in the last couple years that I'm hoping will be released in this process of really resting and gently moving my body and not stressing it out, because cortisol was out of whack. When I did blood tests last year, I had almost no cortisol, which is causing anxiety in the mornings, and I don't have that anymore. So I think things are balancing out. Everything's connected, right? So I was having thyroid issues, cortisol issues, liver issues, gut issues, like all of it was connected, and I definitely feel a lot better than I did last year in terms of body, despite having put on maybe 8 pounds just in the last year alone, which I think was connected to being stressed out in the relationship that I was in. And then I was smoking pot still off and on over the summer last year, taking Adderall off and on. So I've slowly cut all of those things out. I throw away all my weed, none of it in the house anymore, not even any batteries, like no oils, nothing, just all of it gone. Still have that chocolate in the freezer that belonged to my roommate. I just have no desire for it anymore. I just don't. I have memories of great times and whatever, but I know what it's really doing to my brain and my body, and how dehydrating it is, and how taxing that is on the system. And I'm looking forward to just being clean. I feel clean. I've been sleeping a lot better. I've been taping my lips together at night, which you guys may have heard of. We're really supposed to breathe through our noses, not through our mouths. And it's so easy when we're sleeping, especially if you tend to sleep on your side of your stomach sometimes, like I do, for you to feel like more congested. It causes you to open your mouth automatically. Then you wake up with a sore throat and even more congested. And that was what was happening to me. And so I read a book, Breath, last year, probably around April or May. I read this book and it just blew me away. The guy who wrote it did an experiment for 2 weeks alongside another breathing expert where they plugged their noses and forced themselves to breathe out of their mouths for 2 whole weeks, and they were miserable. Like, it really matters. Breathing through your nose is the best thing you can do for your health, especially when it comes to sleeping at night. And so I have been just using like surgical tape, just a little piece of it, to just lightly make sure, like not forcefully, but keep my lips together so they don't easily come apart. And when I wake up, I just take it off. And if I want to get something to drink in the middle of the night, I have like a little straw on my water bottle that I don't have to take the tape off. I can just, you're not going to kill yourself by taping your mouth shut. There's literally doctors online that are like, this is not safe at all. And it is totally safe. It's not hard to take the tape off. You're not going to suffocate. I wouldn't recommend it if you're like 5 years old. Don't tape your kids' mouths if they're, not able to take the tape off or whatever. But yeah, had been doing it on and off for a while, but I think when I was dating that guy and he would be here on the weekends, I wouldn't do it. And then I would get out of the habit, even though I did it all throughout the week. And I do sleep more soundly when I breathe through my nose all night. Last week, I guess, is a good example too. I wasn't sleeping with my lips taped together, and I would do my yoga and just feel so congested, just clogged nose, everything, sore throat. Not loving it. And then I was like, you know what? Like, my intuition was like, try the mouth tape again. Try the mouth tape. So I did it. And the next 2 nights, I slept like a baby. And last night, I slept really well too, but I had to pee a lot, which is a good thing because I think I'm releasing a lot of water. And I honestly think a lot of the weight that I've gained has been water weight. Like, just I'm holding on to stuff that I don't need. And so I'm just setting the intention to release what I don't need and just move out all the energy. And the biggest change in my life that's coming up is, well, I'll tell you kind of the backstory of it. I was laying in bed one night a couple weeks ago and reading on Reddit, the Airbnb host forum, and a guy had posted about how he had been making all this money renting out not an Airbnb but a camper van, like a luxury one that he had like decked out with Wi-Fi and everything. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, I could just park one of these in my driveway and rent it out. You know, I had an Airstream for a while and ended up just selling it because it was just a pain in the butt for me to tow it. I had to hook it up to my Jeep, and it's just for one person, it was too much. I wasn't ready for that. But this is interesting. You know, if I could make more for a 2-week rental renting out this cool van than I do in a whole month of my rentals out in Claremont, why not? But then I started looking into it, and I started watching videos of people who are living the van life, and they've converted these Sprinter vans, or Mercedes, they're really nice Mercedes Sprinter vans, into these luxury tiny houses, like 70 square feet, really small, but they have everything: a kitchen, a bathroom, a toilet, a bed, you know, real sheets, everything that you could possibly need to live comfortably. And I was just so drawn in by this. I watched, I think it was 2 weekends ago, all day I sat and watched these videos on YouTube about how these people were building out these vans. And I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this. And I knew that my inner child was just like begging me, like, please, let's do this. Please, would not let me alone if I didn't do it. And I knew that it was one of those things that I had buried for a long time. And it was last summer I was looking into converting a school bus because I was really drawn into that. And I was like, well, maybe I'll look for some land out in St. Petersburg because I love St. Petersburg. But the truth of the matter is, I don't want to have to be tied down anywhere. And the idea of sitting at my computer for the next 5 years, I'm turning 36 in a couple of weeks, the next 4 or 5 years until I'm 40, creating more content, you know, even sitting here and recording the podcast in the same place every week, doing the same thing every day, all day, even if it's different, but in the same place. It sounds so draining to me. It sounds so boring to me. Also, I can make sure to pay for this place, you know, because it cost me probably $8,000 a month to live here comfortably, and it's just me. So this house is costing me money, and I could easily rent this place out for more than double that. I think I can rent it out for triple that in a month, and I'm going to put some money. I've already hired an interior designer, put some money into making it go from what I call like a C-, because, you know, there's some work to be done around here, not like repair wise, but just making it ready for guests, because it's just been me living here, right? Even though I've had a couple of roommates in the last couple of years, and, you know, cats and everything, like, there's still some work to be done to make it really awesome for a vacation rental. And so that's what I'm working on now, is making that happen. And I'm going to get like a cold plunge. I've got my float tank that I'm going to keep in here. I'm going to sell the oxygen tank. I really don't use it. And I don't trust people staying here not to mess it up. And it's a lot harder to clean, and it costs like 30 grand, and I probably can get like 25 grand for it selling it. And I'd love to be able to put that money towards my van or towards like landscaping or something that would really translate into a higher rental price for this place, which I just don't think this thing would, you know. I don't think people would use it. They might, but, you know, it doesn't have to be a $30,000 machine for it to be a draw. I think if I had even like a $10,000 one day, you know, if people ask for something like that, or they can go down the road to the hyper wellness place that does hyperbaric oxygen and join for a month. You know, there's options. They don't have to have like this giant machine taking up all this space, and the sauna would be better in here anyway. So anyway, thinking out loud, I'm selling that. Yeah, so instead of sitting at my computer, living here, determined to live here, like, I'm done with this place, like, and I don't have to be done forever, right? I can move and live in my van, travel the whole country for as long as I want, and block out the calendar so nobody runs the place, and come home and stay here for a while if I really want to. But I think what I'll find is living in a tiny home with fewer options, but everything that I could want, and being able to go anywhere that I want in the van, in comfort, in style. I won't be bored. I'll be challenged. I know I'll become a better person doing this, and I'll become a version of myself that my inner child is just wildly proud of, and being able to make money off of this house every month will pay for everything that I want to do on the road. You know, I can't imagine needing more than even $8,000 to live on the road. You know, that's like a very large amount. I could live like a king on $8,000 in a van, you know, and that's, you know, the minimal end of what I could rent this place for. And I do have to rent it out by a month minimum because the city I live in, Winter Park, does not allow short-term vacation rentals. They allow vacation rentals, but you have to rent out for a month minimum, and so, or 28 days or something like that. So that could be a challenge, but I'm just saying, you know, I really believe that I'm creating something that's unique, and I think that the right people will be drawn to it. I believe that if you dig the ditches, that God, the universe, source, whatever, that energy, the source energy will bring the rain that you're expecting. And that's really what I'm doing, is creating something that will attract the right people. And that's really, I mean, because there'll be 4 cats here. They're going to have their own little catio. I'm thinking about putting a cold plunge out there on the catio with them. So that way it's fun for whoever's out there on the cold plunge. They have the cats to keep them company, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. It's like $5,000, which, you know, if I sell this oxygen tank, makes total sense, but it's also an additional liability too, and I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll unfold as time goes on. Like right now, I'm just I put a deposit down on the van. I'm meeting with the builders tomorrow, letting it flow. Like I've got some construction going on upstairs where I'm enclosing the lofts, and I've hired the interior designer, and it's only February 18th. The van isn't going to come in until like over a month from now. And so they're not going to be able to even get started building it until the end of March or early April. So we're months away from actually being on the road. And so I've got like a list of things that I need to think about doing, like changing the insurance on this place and figuring out how to rent my car, because I have a Tesla in the garage, and that would be awesome if I could rent out the car with the house for a month too. Got to get like a website going, all that stuff. So a lot of time not freaking out about it. And I know that's like my tendency from like my past pattern has always been like, oh my gosh, it has to get done right now. But it's like there's things that are happening in my life. Like I booked a cruise for the end of April for 10 days. I'm going out of town next week, at the end of the week, for about a week for my birthday, and like a retreat out in Arizona. I'm going to see my cousins in Texas on the way home. Just some things to sort of break up what really does end up feeling like monotony sitting in this house. As fun as it is, I've been floating at night again before bed, which is great for my body. My body loves it. And my brain tells me like, no, it's boring. Like, what are you going to do in there? Like, whatever. But my body just loves it. Like, just loves being in the tank. And so that's what's been getting me in there every night. And my hair hates it. But, you know, I'm going to be living in a van. I won't necessarily have access to a float tank. I won't have access like I do now. So I'm in that way trying to live it up and use it as much as I can before I do vacate the premises for a while. And yeah, it's kind of fun to think about, you know, all the different things that go into the van, all the things that I'm going to do, like really pare down my wardrobe, which I had already been doing, and reorganizing all my stuff, really getting clear on what I want to keep, versus what I don't want to keep. Like I've got a whole bunch of antiques upstairs. Like I don't really need all of those. I keep the ones that I got from my Oma, and then the ones that I've bought that are just like meh, you know, like see if I can sell those or whatever, and have a lot of things to donate as well. So it's a lot, but yeah, I'm going out there on my own, and you know, if I meet somebody along the way, awesome. If I don't, awesome. I'm really focusing on me and pouring into myself and reading all these books. Like I'm going to be probably bringing a ton of books with me. I'm thinking I'm probably going to bring all my medical medium books with me, because I do plan on continuing the podcast and growing a coaching business along the way, and growing my TikTok and probably Instagram as well, as I kind of probably pivot my, I guess, personal brand a little bit. Not necessarily pivot it, but add to it, right? Expand it. Because I want to pick like 5 things that I'm really into, right? Not just mental health and exposing the truth about the industry, right? I don't want to like pigeonhole myself into what I've been talking about on this podcast. Like just like I don't want to be pigeonholed with proofreading like I was for a while. Like even though I tried to branch out into working from home, like I still didn't want to be pigeonholed into just working from home. I want to talk about health and van life and running a business on the road, you know, because this house still is a business, and I will have a team that I need to manage, because I've got 3 other rental properties as well. So yeah, what all that's like, and who knows, like it's really going to be about self-development, and it scares me a little bit to think about being out there on the road alone. But I mean, it's basically going to be like driving a truck. And I know that's something I can do. And the thing comes with a backup camera. So I'll have everything that I need to be safe. I think it'll be a lot easier to do than driving a Jeep with Airstream attached to it as well. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, it feels kind of different being in the house the way it is now, especially with the construction going on. Like, I've had to kind of come to terms with the fact that things are just going to be a little messy, And before I came on to record, I had just cleaned up my kitchen because I was juicing and cleaned out my sink, which I hadn't done in a while and I needed to. And then I thought, should I mop the floor? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and record a podcast instead, because I think mopping the floor was something that I would use to avoid doing the podcast, which I know I wanted to do and needed to do for myself to express myself and not just keep everything on the inside thinking, oh, nobody cares. That's not true. I know there's people that care, and I have an email list that I haven't sent a message to in a while. And so if you're listening to this from my email list, thanks for listening. Thanks for reading my email. I'm going to start emailing you guys more, because I think there's like a little bit of a block there, I guess, in my own mindset, where it's just like, okay, most of the people who are on my mailing list came from Proofread Anywhere, and like I signed a non-compete. I think there's something in my agreement that like I can't solicit, which I don't solicit. I make available what I have available, but I'm not like you guys joined my list because you wanted to, and I just posted on my personal Facebook. That's really what my list is made out of: people who followed me who are friends with me on Facebook, joined my Facebook group and got on my email list. And so I know I'm not in violation of anything by doing something completely different with the people that have been following me for a long time. And yeah, I think I was putting a lot of pressure on myself for a while to launch something new and get out there and, continue this entrepreneurship journey that I've been on. And then I realized I would have to sit here in my room or my office, because my office is upstairs and it's near the construction zone. So I've been in my room working, and just after a couple 12-hour days a few weeks ago, I was like, this does not feel good. I might convince myself that it feels good because getting things done is rewarding, and seeing the finished product of, different ebooks I made and things, it feels good. But then it's just, now I have to build a funnel and build all the things and get people to it and answer emails. And I don't think I'm ready for that yet. Maybe I'll never will be, but I do know that there's nothing preventing me from continuing my entrepreneurship journey in a way that feels good to me, and one that isn't draining to me, and that allows me to put myself first instead of everybody else, because that's what I did. And with Proofread Anywhere, is I made that my life. That business was my life, and there was no differentiation, and the business took priority. I didn't realize, I was so used to putting that first that I didn't realize that I wasn't putting myself anywhere at all. I didn't exist at all. I was just whatever people expected me to be, and everything was on that, and I didn't realize how draining it was. So, and that doesn't mean I'll never be out there creating content again. In a couple of years I might feel completely differently. I felt differently last year than I did this year, and especially after living in the van. And I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm about to become a certified professional coach through IPEC, the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching. It's one of the best coaching schools in the world. Who knows what that's going to lead to, what opportunities that'll lead to, especially if I continue podcasting and growing my platform on TikTok, while I'm on the road, teaching people what I know, sharing my stories. That's really what I want to do, is share my stories with people. I don't even know if I want to continue going through Brain Saver. There's so much great information in there, and I might do a couple more chapters, like the caffeine chapter and the alcohol chapter I'm actually looking forward to, and those are really close. I think I got the cranial nerves, and then after that comes caffeine and alcohol. So who knows? The thing is, I can do whatever I want, and that's the way I want it. That's what I wanted this whole time, starting this online business that turned into a thing that I was able to sell, and then getting this real estate that I have. And I didn't consider that I'd ever want to move out of the house and live in a van, but I think it was always kind of there. I can remember when I was married, we hadn't even moved into this house yet, and I was like, what if we got a camper van and traveled around with a dog, because I hadn't even seen any videos. I didn't even know it was a thing, but that idea popped up, and he was not into that. And then I felt sad inside, because I was like, that seems like something that at least some time of the year I'd like to be able to do. Knowing in my mind at the time, I would never be able to do that really made me sad. And so now that I am in the mindset where it's no, I'm not going to attach myself to some guy who maybe he loves me, maybe he doesn't, maybe he's not a bad guy, maybe he is a great guy, if it's not what I want, I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to just say like change myself or change what I really want just in order to be with some guy, and not have any scarcity mind around that, if that makes sense. So big changes. I'm excited. Got a couple interviews lined up for the podcast. Actually, this week I'm going to be recording with Dr. Kendra Campbell, freerangepsychiatry.org or freerange.org. Her handle on TikTok is freerangepsychiatry. And I have a whole list of questions that I'm going to be asking her about her journey of awakening from an ER psychiatrist who was on medication, was on like 20 different medications for all these different things. And then she had her spiritual awakening 6 years ago and switched to holistic psychiatry and has been helping people get off meds. So it's been awesome to get to know her through her TikTok, and I get to meet her in person this Tuesday. I'm recording on a Saturday, so just in a couple days. And so that'll probably be the next episode of the podcast, is that one after this one. Yeah, I don't even think I'm going to edit. I don't think I'm going to edit this one. I might go through it and see if there's any long pauses. That would be annoying for you guys to listen to, but this has been like a really real raw episode that hopefully you found encouraging just to hear from me in this way. And I look forward to continuing the podcast in whatever way it morphs. I don't know. I might change it into something else when I'm in the van, but definitely going to do at least a handful more chapters in Brain Saver and see where we go. So I hope you're having a great day. We'll see you in the next episode. You better tune in because it's Dr. Kendra, and that's it. Bye, guys.